When I was searching the scripture to see what to speak on, I can't get away from being brought back to 2 Chronicles. And of course, 2 Chronicles 7 is quite famous. We mention this so often in our days of prayer. But when you look at the experience of Solomon, what I find is this, that when he built the temple, two things specifically happened. One is in 2 Chronicles chapter 5, and it's the last verse. Well, from verse 13, it came to pass as the trumpeters and singers were as one, to make one sound to be heard in praising and thanking the Lord. And when they lifted up their voice with the trumpet, cymbals, and instruments of music, and praised the Lord, that then the house was filled with a cloud, even the house of the Lord, so that the priests could not stand to minister by reason of the cloud, for the glory of the Lord had filled the house of God. Oh, this seems so different to what we understand as church today, because I can't imagine in the present time, when people are so reluctant to go to church out of fear, that there could be a time when people couldn't get into the church because of the glory of God. I find it a very interesting concept that as the worship began, that it became so powerful that the glory of God came down. And on this occasion, it isn't fire, it's the cloud of the glory of God. And you know, I'm reminded in this of one of possibly two or three very powerful experiences in my life when I experienced the glory of God. And the first time was in 1972 when I was locked up in the prison, and in the desperation of that prison, when it seemed that God wasn't answering me, and when I cried out for food, I wasn't getting food. When I wanted my family to come, they weren't allowed to come. When I was desperate to get out, it seemed as if heaven was like brass shut up against me. But when I began to pray, the amazing thing is the glory of God came down. It was incredible. It was one of only about 3 times when I've really experienced the glory of God filling the place, filling a prison cell. So here, what I'm commenting on is that when the people came together in Solomon's new temple, once they began to worship, the glory of God appeared. And you know, people think we can conduct church by remote control. You can watch it on TV, or you can do as we're doing now, watch it on the internet. But somehow, that's not where the glory of God is so visible. And I'm really concerned at the fact that there are still so many restrictions in churches. I mean, I'm being told in one church you have to register if you want to attend. In another church, there are only one service a week, and you're restricted on the numbers that can go, and the worship is restricted. But what we're seeing here is something without the restriction. And if only we could get this spirit back into the church. And not only this, but there's 2 other things. I'll come back to chapter 6, but if I move forward even to chapter 7 of 2 Chronicles, and in the first verse, when Solomon made an end of praying, the fire came down from heaven and consumed the burnt offering and the sacrifices. And again, the glory of the Lord filled the house. So that again the priest couldn't enter into the house, verse 2, because the glory of the Lord had so filled the Lord's house that it's incredible. But you know, we really need some evidence, some demonstration of the power and the glory of God. And when it happened in chapter 7, verse 3, when the children of Israel saw how the fire had come down and the glory of the Lord, they bowed themselves on the ground and they worshipped and they praised the Lord because of the sense of his presence, his power, and his glory.